Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve. And just checking if I'm coming in to all these channels. And I have got a guest here today, and we'll just go ahead and start the show while I'm looking this up. And I just want to introduce myself to you, and I am Nicole Borgay, and I am the warrior on The Raven and the Warrior with over 20 years experience in law enforcement and security. What? How did I get here? But I take my experience as the human lie detector in the chaos of the criminal underworld, and I blended it with my 50 years as a psychic medium, a mystic, and I guide that wisdom is absolutely guided by the Raven. And you know what? Utilizing this as a servitude to where I worked as a volunteer. And now I'm coming here on this show to volunteer my gifts to share it with the Oneness Talk Radio family. And I'm so glad to be part of this because my true mission and purpose here, specifically for this podcast, is to really bring out that we need to open our minds and we need to use our third eyes and the gifts and the superpowers that we have so we can open it up and stop that mental illness. And it's a very big passion of mine to realize that when we have mental clarity, focus, and we use our intuition and the gifts that we have, and we go by our guidance, and mine is the Raven guiding me with that sacred knowledge coming over from the other dimension and guiding that into opening and clarifying what is going on in my head and bringing that out into the public and being able to voice and interact and connect. And that is very much part of my journey. So taking that warrior stance to protect you, that's what that warrior means. And also bringing that in with the Raven energy and the knowledge and taking that in from my sacred journeys and sharing that with you. And so I'll go ahead and introduce my guest today, Jackie. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to people, and I'll go ahead and toggle around in here in YouTube.
There you go. You toggle and YouTube, and I'll talk. I can handle the talking part. I'll let you do the tech. Hi, I'm Jackie Simmons. I'm a closet woo. And I say I'm a closet woo because it was a woo-hoo. What do you mean woo? No, everything I do is science-based. And if that sounds like denial, it is. Denial's way more than a deep river in Egypt. It is where I lived for a long time. It just wasn't the accepted thing in this very logical left brain world. So now that I am out of the closet and into the woo, and what's really funny is that I certify coaches and healers in intuitive arts, in an intuitive process that permanently resolves emotional trauma from events of your past without you needing to talk about it. So this is what I've been doing for years and years and years, and doing it with the neuroscience and the biochemistry and how the brain really works and all of that language. When what was needed for people to understand is that when you bring your intuition in it, when you bring your intuition into your world, into your life, you're going to be out of step with the rest of your family, possibly, because certainly I was with most of my family. And to prevent that from creating trauma and drama, there are skill sets that will help you. And so we're probably going to hit on a couple of them today. There's always more when it comes to me. And so you'll be able to find me by the end of this because somebody's going to put up some links or something somewhere. In the meantime, I'm grateful to be here, Nicole. Thank you so much for doing this. And it's just a beautiful day, even though I'm in Florida and it is flipping cold here today. So I'm going to wrap myself up. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm wearing the purple. It's all bright. It's also cold. So I'm not going to sit here and shiver. I'm going to put a layer of red. There we go. All right.
Well, you know what I do want to say is I want to congratulate you for coming out of the closet and sharing the woo with everything that you do today, because you can't be a closet woo anymore. Not now that you are official. And I will get those links from you later and throw them up in the chat so everybody can know where to find Jackie. She's amazing. We've had a few conversations so far. And it's just great to see that, when Jackie talks about the mindset and the clarity and where we're at in life. And for me, it's always the drive to just come on out, show yourself, embrace your crazy, as I call it, and just be out there and put the woo in what you do and how it changes your life coming out of there. And 50 years of being a psychic medium and knowing, hey, I was born this way and didn't realize why anybody else wasn't embracing anything. Like a little bit of denial, right? They're sailing along that river, like you said. They are definitely in that denial. And we want to bring them out of that so they can sail along and just kind of float on the river instead and come through in that body of life. We
And
are going to go. Yeah.
this is
I'm
where you
sorry.
and I are going to spar on some language.
Oh, we
So
probably will, and that's
yeah.
okay. It's that is okay. So, my audience understands, hey, here's where it comes. Here's where we understand. And for me, my journey is to just share that with you and be open with that in that chaos. And watching people for so many years live in chaos. I worked in casinos in Las Vegas, and the fact that people would come here and they thought that they were opening up and being free, which absolutely was, they were more hindered by what
Mm,
they were doing, in coming out in public. They were trying to be that person with the 15 minutes of fame and pretend to be the influencer in the moment, which they couldn't influence themselves. So they had a bit of a time influencing the crowd, but what I saw was that ultimate quick crash. They're unhappy, or whatever they had in their system, the drugs or the alcohol on top of it, only made it worse because they were in a moment, for me, of silliness, not just there to have fun and relax and enjoy their time, but they were so filled and worried whatever everybody else was doing. What was the society doing? How did I fit in there? Who am I?
mm,
Right? And bringing that up to say, you know what, this is the time for you to just be free, have fun, and feel into who you are, and embrace the moment that you're having here, and have fun. And you would think that people would go out on a vacation and want to relax and just be themselves, or open up, or maybe play a few games of poker, or go to the nightclub and just be unhindered. But they were more, it was even compounded even more in that moment. And watching people over the years, it's really, for me, the strength to bring that out and say, hey, it's time to stop dipping your toe in the water and move forward and embrace those gifts, those people who I have taught over the years that want to come back to that kind of reoccurring same class again and do it over. Well, you just did it, let's move forward to the next step. And let's just go and do that. So for me, I'm the driver, and if you're going to jump off the cliff in Hawaii and go right into the water, I'm going to grab your hand. We're going, because it's when you hesitate, you're at the edge of the cliff, you're ready to have the experience, but you just can't, for some reason, you can't go forward, right?
wow. Okay. So because we've had these other conversations, I'm going to wrap some context around what you just said. Because when you talk about Hawaii, I've got an intuitive immersion experience coming up in Hawaii. And so Nicole's going to be able to have that information for you all. And that's where the reference is to jumping off a cliff in Hawaii. Don't know if any of my tribe have that on their bucket list. We'll find out for the people who are joining me in person for that event. You're right. It is about us now. Here's how I see it. More light is coming into the world. People who never thought they were intuitive are getting intuitive hits. People who
Yeah.
knew they were intuitive are now channeling. People who were channeling are now doing the next level, whatever that is for them. And for those of us who have any sense of groundedness around this, I think it's incumbent on us to be visible, to be available, to guide people who are just now waking up to their intuitive gifts, so
Mm,
they've got someone who they can follow as a role model, who they can be
right.
mentored by. So if you've got gifts, be visible with them. Now is the
Yeah.
time for you to stand up and speak out and say, I don't have it all figured out, but maybe I can help make your transition out of the closet a little easier. because it is all of the people who I've ever studied with that made it easier for me.
Mm. Right. Oh, absolutely. I like that. You have a much smoother articulation than I do. But we are, what this shows is the beauty of this is the ability to share that we are of that like mind, and we're not worried about being different. And correcting one another, saying, hey, this is just the way that we understand, or I see it, or my experience of it. And just getting out there to saying, the conversation we had was, some of the languaging can be different, but we are
Mhm.
pretty much trying to say and saying the same thing, dependent upon who we're talking to or what our experience is. And having education, but also having lived on the street and dealt with the kind of that criminal underworld mindset, but that comes from my strength in that Osiris underworld energy, and understanding the depth and the frequency of who people are. And do you have, let's move into this part of it, and I'm just going in here to check some more channels while you talk, because I just like hearing Jackie here talk, and the way she explains. Obviously, she's a teacher and a mentor, and taking people kind of by the hand, and maybe, hey, going into Hawaii and jumping off that cliff and taking that leap. What is your gift? You use sight, or do you use any divinity tools when you're using whether it's your intuition or bringing that forward?
Well, the main tool that I use to tap in, and this is my how do you take intuition and turn it into effective decision making tool?
Right.
Because I like fast, effective decision making. Napoleon Hill said that's the lack of leaders, the lack of owners to be able to make effective decisions quickly is one of the causes of business failure. And I'm the intersection between a stress management consultant and a business consultant. So that's how I ended up here. I'm the collision in what happens when two worlds collide. My favorite tool for fast, effective decision making, and I have to credit Andrea Hess. When I met her, she was the six-figure psychic. Then she became the seven-figure psychic. And now I don't even know, because she doesn't do any individual work, only training.
Oh,
She's the
okay.
one who introduced me to a pendulum.
Mm,
And so I use a pendulum for fast decision making. And it is incredibly accurate because it's not tapping into anything other than my own intuition. It's
yeah.
my own micro movements of my muscles that get bypass my critical thinking brain and give me answers right away. And I stop second guessing.
Mm, okay.
So we've got a couple of things. What's interesting is Jean Nadeau, what's your POV? My point of view. My point of view is you're probably woo too. Get over yourself and admit it. So there we go.
There we go.
I hope that answered your question.
I love that. I have my pendulum. I have my rune stones, which I'll be bringing up in a minute, and I have this little handy dandy deck of sassy AF affirmations from someone that was a guest on one of my podcasts. And this one says, "I enjoy each day of my beautiful life," which is awesome. When you're
There we
sassy,
go.
you know it. You're out there and you're sharing it. I have cards and gifts, and here's one of my favorites is the 8 ball.
Oh, the magic 8 ball.
Right? I remember this as a child playing with the 8 ball and knowing, kind of sometimes what was going to come up right away. But there's so much out there to utilize, but to have fun. And, are we going to have fun today? And the 8 ball says, don't get.
There we go. Don't
See,
count on it. However, you can have fun anyway, even if you don't count on
right, right, right. It's just the fun of really what tools do you have? What are you utilizing? How are you utilizing it? Just like in Ghostbusters, when they're showing the cards here, and you're guessing kind of what is in the Zener card, what is the color, what is the shape, what is the
it. Mhm.
feeling, and utilizing the Zener cards. You're not going to get them all right when you first start with it. And there's some days you're just not going to get anything right. It's just your energy and you're tapping in. And what you use these are not as a crutch, but as a tool to really bring that focus back. And it gives a pattern interrupt. I feel when you're using something physical, my mind is all over the place, and it what not in an anxious way, but in just the patterns that I personally see. Not just starting even with dyslexia in a small sense. This helps me interrupt that pattern and be in that moment of what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling. Hey, if you saw a sun when you're using these, or maybe you saw a globe, you're still in that vibration of what is here, what you're seeing, something yellow, something in a globe, a circle, just utilizing these to bring yourself into the moment of guidance. And these are very helpful if you're going to meditate and you can't focus, and you need something to bring you back into the moment, especially if you're a busy person and you talk about stress.
Mhm.
And that is very, very much what we all have. We all get that stress and that monkey mind, and we can't focus. So what can we do to bring ourselves back and have a little fun? You take one of these cards and it's just like, oh, I can't look at myself in the mirror, or I'm having a moment where I'm not feeling good about myself, and I look at me all sassy and sparkles, and it just makes you laugh. It's just the cuteness of that. And even one last thing,
Go
right?
ahead.
You're using that.
I'm
One last thing is a tool that I'll be bringing in a little bit later. It's called bibliomancy, and it's asking a question, and putting that out there um, into the atmosphere, into the universe, and saying, I need an answer to the question, what do I need to heal today? And when I open this book, this is a great book, Anatomy of the Spirit, and it's a deeper talk about how our sacral, or how our chakras affect us. And it comes up to the third chakra, right? Your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus into creation. And there's more information here, but it's all out here. You don't have to have it. It's just fun. It's just fun
well,
to use.
and I'm going to pop in and jump in and say the other tool that I use when I can't focus is I will go out and pick up any of the books off of my book reading stack. And I have a stack usually. And I'll just pick up a random book, open it to a random page, read whatever is there. And that gives my brain a break from what I was doing, whatever it was I was confused about. It just gives my brain a chance to move the cognitive part out of the way, and that opens up to the intuition. Whether you call intuition your higher, for me it's my wish, my wise intuitive higher self. And yes, I know the acronym is a little scrambled, but it works for me.
Hmm.
And so, whether I call it my wish or whether you call it the divine Holy Spirit of Christ, which I saw a comment and I'm going, whatever you use as a label, it's your label. Own it and don't judge others, because I'm the granddaughter of a preacher,
Oh.
and judge not, least ye be judged is one of the things I was raised with. And so I am calling out the chat and asking you to stop and tune in or unplug and tune out. You don't have to be here. If this is not your job, this is not your vibe, vote with
Mm.
your feet and leave. But you're not
Awesome.
going to convert us into any other belief other than the one we hold, just like we're not trying to convert you. So just calling it out what it is. Now, we do have a question in the chat for a
Yeah.
reading. So I'm
Yes,
going to
I
leave
just
that
brought it
to
up
you.
over here. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do a reading in just one second, but let's go through that. I'm bringing it back up over here. And someone says Jean, is it Jean or
Mhm.
Jean says, bonjour, Jackie. And again, what is POV? When you spoke about POV earlier, can
Point
you just
of
restate
view.
it? Point of view. Awesome.
Point of
Uh,
view.
awesome.
And
And
and my response to that was, you might be a closet woo too.
right.
You
And
might be
try.
a woo
Okay.
too.
So let's go down here and yeah, hey, can I have a reading? So Bridget's up here. We want to just address that and thank you so much for addressing what you did. And it's so important for people to understand we're here sharing our information, our experience, and our beliefs. We're being absolutely vulnerable. And so, if hey, if you want to get on this magic carpet and ride, we're good. Otherwise, hey, you know what? It's probably best you get in your other POV, which is a vehicle, and what we call in security is a vehicle, and you know what? It's passenger operated vehicle, and go ahead and drive the other way. We're going to our destination, so we're going to come together. And thank you. Here we go, Bridget. Bridget wants a reading. What do you see coming in for me? Okay, Bridget. So if you can. We'll all open with the cards and get some information on Jackie. Bridget, if you can put some more information in the chat. I always ask that when I'm doing a reading, a rune reading, psychic reading, energy reading, what is your intention? What is the question you need answered? Put it blatantly to the universe so you can get that exact answer. If you ask a general question, you're going to get a general answer, and then you're not going to be too happy with the answer. Well, the psychic didn't give me the answer I wanted. She didn't give me the answer I'm looking for. Did you ask the question? And some people say the right question. I don't, are you don't know that that's the right question until you ask it. So let's get those questions out there, and we'll go ahead and put that together. But let's start here with the reading of the lovers, and this is a card here that I have right here, and it's the tarot card of the lovers, and it has the king, the queen, the black and white, which means that we are all lovers in our yin and our yang, and our female and our male. And it's also a love affair with a trial or the choice attached, which it indicates the decisions or choices that are incredibly important and significant and essential to you choosing the right path and true partnership. So in business, in relationships, you want to choose a lover that or a partner that works with you, but not exactly you. I find it works better if I'm in partnership with someone that's a little bit opposite of me, or will be able to see, have a different vision, so I can expand my horizons with working in that. What do you say about the lovers there, Jackie?
Well, I'm going to just jump into contrast. And it's funny because I was writing this morning about the relationship dynamic that is, I learned from the Celestine prophecy, which is about control dramas. And I have this spectrum of people low on the self absorption scale to the extreme doormat, high on the
Right.
self absorption scale to the extreme narcissist. And the narcissist and the doormat went out to play. The doormat did everything the narcissist wanted, and they had a good day. And understanding the dynamic between those two. So, yeah, when you're talking yin and yang, realize we all have both of those in us, the places where we dismiss our own intuition and the places where we dominate with our own
Mm, right,
intuition and opinions. So, we're all everything. It's just what is our balance? What is our
right,
harmony between
right.
those two in the moment?
Exactly, exactly. And you can see folks when I'm on here with a guest, and there's a little bit of expansion here on that point of view or that feeling, or the energy in the moment, to see that, hey, I'm going to see um, one pattern and Jackie's going to see something else. And Bridget elaborated on what she wants to know about. So she's talking about spiritual work and
Ooh.
finances, intended to start doing energy work. Okay, so that's definitely something, definitely a deeper question here, and we can get a better answer. So when we look at the lovers card and we talk about partnerships, and this is where you come in, Bridget, is that partnership. You are loving the spiritual work and you're asking for abundance. And are you, and definitely, I know Jackie's going to elaborate on this because she teaches this, right? I believe, you're all about the woo and the do here. And the spiritual work and the finances and the intended in the path. So you're putting your attention out there, you got your business plan, you're ready to go, and you're ready to do the work. You want to make sure in that partnership and partnership with yourself. So in the yin and yang, are you in balance with what you're putting out there? Are you in balance of what you're setting? Are you in the strength? And that comes into, in the runestone, it's urus. So it looks like a little N. I'll have to put these photos up. It's a little hard to see here, but it's the strength and promotion of your health, your wellness, which again comes to your balance of your yin and your yang, and the protection that you're using with this. In the deeper sense, it's that, again, that male, female, the tree of life, the fruits, the knowledge. And when male and female come together, they are birthing in that tree of knowledge. They're bringing their knowledge and their wisdom to their, maybe their child, and in your sense, and work, you're birthing a project and you're bringing that tree of life, you're expanding it with the fruits. And are you tending and are you seeding that? Or are you just coming in and saying, hey, I just want to do this and take some money? It's not going to work, right? We want you to be financially independent, and it's huge to say that. And I know Jack and I, that we've touched on this a little bit before about the health and wellness of our money and what we're bringing into our life. So go ahead, Jackie.
Bringing all of what you said and pulling it into something really specific. I have a very concrete way of explaining this. Bridget, my heartfelt sense is that you're already ready. My suggestion is that you prove your concept. This is the business side of the brain. Prove the concept. You don't have to have a fancy website. You don't have to have branding. You need none of that. What you need is a practice client. And when you have one practice client for free and they are satisfied and you are satisfied, then you go out and you say, okay, I've got early bird pricing. I am launching my energy work, whatever kind of energy work you're going to, whatever labels you're going to put around that. After you do your first practice client, you'll have some better language for what they want to hear. Then you say, I'm launching my energy work practice. When at full launch, January, why not? Why wait? So January, full launch, it's whatever the price is going to be. And if you want to catch the early bird between now and the end of the year, it's this price. And you just test the concept, prove the concept first, and then put your toe in the water. And you put the toe in the water and see who comes in. And see the energy and allow for that energetic exchange. The first person doesn't have to pay because the energetic exchange is that they're willing to be your proof of concept, your practice client. They're already giving you their time and attention. So their treasure is not needed. After that, hey, go for the treasure too, because you want to keep harmony between what you're giving and what you're receiving. And I've got a whole system called SALES, SALES, and the short version is service always leaves equal success. So as your ability to serve goes up, so will your ability to receive compensation for that. Start with where you are and start today. Bridget, they need you more than you know.
Oh, they do. They do. And I want to thank you for expanding upon that. See, Jackie's got that more that I'm the flagrancy, and she's got that business part of that in there when I come in here and talk with people, and I love that and the experience that she has, and I'm so glad she's here today. And Bridget, what comes up for me is I want to share with you many people I've had on podcasts before and had conversations with when they're coming out with woo. The importance of sharing this is that you're not having 101 practice clients. That you're having the one practice client, please. You always have family or friends that you can tweak and work with, but you don't want them to be practice clients every day. When you're dolls or your teddy bears and you're having a pretend tea party, at some point that has to be the adult tea party where you can invite your stuffed animals to come back in the room, right? And dress them up and have fun with them, but you want to bring them in together, right? And it's really important to understand that you're putting that intention out there, you're putting the abundance out there, and when it comes to you, open up to it. Let it on in. Open the door. Open the door. Don't slam it shut and go, oh, too much. Enjoy that luxury of life and have fun with it. And I'm glad that makes sense to you, Bridget. That's glad. That's awesome. And Yvonne, we're glad that you're here. Yvonne says we're having an interesting conversation. So glad you folks are here. I don't see us for some reason on Facebook today on Oneness. I'll have to put this back in here and find out what toggle got hit since I created this event. But let's move on to this next card because this one's pretty interesting. And so you see, folks, the divinity tools and the conversation sparks so much. It opens up the energy and it brings us together and it heightens the vibe when we're able to have an open discussion and we come out of the closet. The next card is the Hermit. You're welcome, Bridget. Thank you for being here. Is the Hermit, and it's a time for withdrawal. So the Hermit here in this card is hiding in the back. You can see the light is here, and the Hermit's way, way, way back here in that darkness. It's a little bit hard to view. A
Oh,
little bit
that's
of this, maybe
perfect.
you see better. Okay, so
Mhm.
that Hermit's in the darkness back here, the dark colors. The Hermit's got the red robe on, and you see this bright, bright light over here, and the Hermit's like, oh, whoa, too much, too much. It doesn't mean that you're hiding from the world. It means that you need to take time and reflect. And so on this weekend, I'm choosing is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, people. That's what I say. So ha. And it's my show and I can. So there. But um when this weekend I am choosing in a sense to be a hermit and be in solitude because I'm going to meditate. I'm going to make a meal and then I'm going to fast for 2 days, and I have some work that I want to do, but I want to do some self work and some self reflection on everything that I'm thankful for, not necessarily for everything that I will be doing. I am very thankful for it, but I want to reflect on what I was given. This is the hardest year in my life. So coming in here to say, hey, it's time to reflect on how I've changed. It's time to reflect on the gifts that I have been given and what I want to share. So I'm always grateful that Oneness has supported that and come back and asked me to come back on the show. Also, in the ancient days, the light of the world is the star that shines in the lantern, and that the hermit is representing only the lamp. So, is the hermit turning the lamp off for a little ease and a little solitude and a little quiet and a little calm? And then opening back up to the light. And that's where the important part is. We don't want to hide from the world and be a recluse, but we want to be able to turn that lamp back on, and understand what our focus is and where we're shining. One last thing, and then I know Jackie's got some great information. This is Alye's in the room. I'm going to have to. Put these in the cards. It's like a little man that's going like this here. And it means friendship and optimism, fortunate soul. How does that go with a hermit again? Your friends, your guides. And when we reflect to find out who the group of people that we're with, who are the people around us that we're thankful for, and maybe who are the people like our family, which had mentioned before, that may have abandoned us in some sense when we've come out of the closet, or may have abandoned us when we've gotten success in our business, or may
Mm.
have, told us that we're wrong or gaslit us or said some narcissistic thing or been very evil in our life to us in a sense, uh, to say that we need to move on. And that reflection comes when we are being that hermit, so we can do that dark night of the soul intention. It is Isis right now. We are ruled by the snow and the ice, and that ice blankets us this time of year, and keeps us so we can hibernate, so we can regenerate, so we can come out again. And when that ice melts, it brings water. We don't want it to flood, but that water represents Lagos, and Lagos is the female energy in that body of water that is in us and what sparks us in our ocean of life and filled with emotions. And when we do a deep, dark night of the soul and we feel like, oh my gosh, I can't go any deeper, I can't go any further, that's the time to reflect on why we're doing and the same thing over and over, why we're still continuing with certain patterns, which ones are healthy, what are the new habits we need to develop, and so when the sun comes in, I'm getting like 1,000 messages at once right now. So when the sun comes into our life, that we can be reborn again from this ice and snow into the light and be coming into the spring of the new year. So this is a time definitely for reflection. We just had the new moon. We just had winter solstice come through. There was what Mercury retrograde. So it's all coming back on reflection again. So absolutely.
Oh,
Go ahead, Jackie.
cool. That was a lot. I'm going to pick one piece of it that lands really loudly in my brain, which is the hermit and this pulling back and into the darkness. And as a survivor of 2 bouts of clinical depression, I want to share my perspective with everyone on this call. When you go into this place under the blanket of snow and ice, what you're doing is called human hibernation. And that is what depression is. It was how our ancestors, the cavemen, survived the winter. What? They hunkered down. They didn't move around very much. They didn't use very many resources, which was the only way that they survived. And so
Mhm.
we've inherited that. This is why when it gets dark and gloomy, we have something called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. It's not a disorder, it's how your biology was designed.
Right.
So just know that this is the natural wave of inactivity. Now, some of us can live in a place where there's a lot of sun. I live in Sarasota, Florida.
Nice.
Enough said. Okay. For others, you can get light bulbs that give you full spectrum light for this time of the year. There are ways to work with your physiology and just know that there's nothing wrong with you. You just didn't get the owner's manual. That's all.
Mm,
The owner's manual for your
right.
brain. Yeah. So this is one clue for you, because otherwise people are afraid, or I used to be afraid that I would go into the darkness and never come back out into the light, because that was my understanding of what I had experienced before. Now I know.
Mm,
We're resilient. We bounce.
we
The
are.
challenge is if you don't know that you're going to bounce, you can slide into feeling helpless and hopeless. And that's the realm of needing intervention. Whereas if you know you're going to bounce, you may feel helpless as far as how long it's going to take for you to bounce, but now you know you're not helpless. Go get yourself
Mm.
some full spectrum light bulbs. Go get yourself a vacation, someplace where there's sun, and
Oh,
know
yeah.
that this is just the way your body works.
Yes, yes, I am all for I love the sun. I'm all for the vitamin D. It's huge for me. I come and here's another thing we wanted to touch on because we've got about 15 minutes. So this would probably be a very good time to move towards this mental health and wellness. I have had depression and I'm very open about where I've come from. I had a mother with, at the time, multi personality disorder, a father that was paranoid schizophrenic, a daughter who had a very deep, deep, deep depression, and couldn't come out of it, didn't want to come out of it. But that was a choice I had to realize that I could only rescue her so many times, and that I couldn't do it. She ran away from rehab. I had to take her. We started to see each other. We had been estranged for a few years and not seen each other because of a choice that she had made, and she did not want to be part of my life. It's very hard as a parent. It's very hard as a human. And it was very hard for me coming up in the family that I came up with because I was the black sheep of the family opening up to my spirituality. And I wanted my daughter to have that spirituality and bring her the guidance. And that's why my journey started more and more to come out and talk about it, to be part of it, to teach it, to mentor with people, because I feel that that hurt inside, and part of that mental illness is uh, whether it's our feeling at the time that we have the inability, we are not able to open up to that sense, or we do not understand or cannot navigate well at that moment what we're seeing, feeling, or doing. And that becomes very much a crazy part of us, or when we feel that we're in that moment where we are going to break and we are depressed, or we are going to go in a sense manic, or are mad in so many senses. And having watched that and grown up in that and seen that so much out in life, because my job was really being a witness, a professional witness of how people were reacting to the world, to the moment, to one another, and how can we make that better. But finding now that this is why this is so important, where the veil is opening, where we are all bringing out that forbidden knowledge, and we take that taboo and now it's woo, and we're having fun with it. But it's the change of direction in the energy to take back our lives. And when we are mentally healthy and well and stable and open up and listen to what our guides have to tell us, right? Listen to our guides, listen to the guidance. You're laughing.
I am laughing because no one's ever accused me of being stable, least of all my team. I'm more like a freight train. So I'm the ideal leading an intuitive led life, like having a heart led life. And I believe in heart led and gut guided, and getting that balance, getting those two things in harmony where you are not just, oh, I have to be this or I should be that. I think Shouldville is a place where dreams go to die. So getting yourself in alignment with the fact that you're human. You are human. You are having this human experience, whether you believe you're a spiritual being having a human experience or a human being with a spiritual happening. Whatever you believe, it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that you give yourself the grace of harmony rather
Mm.
than balance, is my language now, that courtesy of one of my friends, Janine Bolin, as a matter of fact.
Oh, she's awesome. Shout out to
Imagine
Janine.
being, yeah, shout out to Janine. Yeah. I mean, I understood energetic harmonics when I studied as a quantum sound healer. And what I believe to be true is that we allow into our lives things that jar us, like having an out of tune clarinet all of a sudden blast in the middle of a symphony.
Mm.
And when we recognize that we are either allowing, promoting, and occasionally we just step in it, stuff just happens. But we become aware of what we can control, where we can put filters in place, where we can turn off or unplug and stop giving other people permission to brainwash us.
Mm.
Then you tune into yourself because you've actually got the bandwidth to tune into yourself. But if you are plugged in and getting all of this input from all over the place all of the time, you may not have the internal capacity to tune in to yourself. So, my recommendation this time of year, especially over the next week, unplug so that you can plug in, unplug from the rest of the world and plug into your interior world.
Yes, yes, yes. It's it's so important right now, and especially this time of year, because statistically, there's a huge depression. I coming from retail, I get it, because watching people just screaming in the stores, rushing to get that last minute gift, overspending money. The kids are hangry. Nobody's eating. People are fighting over the holidays. That's a depressing moment for people in retail, or people even on the shopping side, because what are we reflecting? We're supposed to be giving. It's the presence of us. It's the time for us to be in the moment of presence, in the moment of now, in the moment of the gift of one another. And so we're unpacking those gifts. And this is where we're supposed to do that, in the hermit, in the hibernation, and loving what is around us, what we have, and how we can bring in more. And the universe is ready to give us those presents and say, here
Mm.
you go. Whether it's 12 days or 8 days or whatever it is,
Or
uh, whether
Yeah.
you celebrate or not, just the
Mhm.
gift of one another. And this is the moment, get your hot cocoa, or get your hot toddy, go by the fire, get your rug, a cuddle. This is the time to embrace one another, those people that you have. So if you're stuck somewhere in a cabin in the woods, who do you want to be stuck with, right? Who would you like to be with? And sometimes it's hard to be with ourselves. Me, myself, and I, are we having a good time? Are we having one of those crazy conversations? So, what is that conversation in your head? What is the conversation you have going forward? And if you cannot be alone with yourself, if you just cannot be alone with yourself, it's time to open up to why. Why can you not be alone with me? And I've been there. I didn't want to be alone with myself. I didn't want to be trapped with myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't like my conversation, and it was powerful, right? But now I can do that, and I enjoy that. And it's like, nope, not now. I want to embrace myself, and so I can be healthy and get in some good nutrients and some good food. And that's why we have the meals at this time. You want to engage in the vibration of the meal, whatever you eat. I'm all good with turkey and stuffing. That's my thing. And but bringing the family component of you and of one another, and to have that reflection in this time of the winter solstice, in this time where we're coming to the coldest day of the year. And what does it really resemble? And so don't get stuck in that depression. That's up to you. That's a choice that you have to have. We're here to help you out. We're here to guide you. And if you're standing at the edge of the cliff, yes, I'll push you off. I'm that one that you call, just like David Goggins. I'm gonna, stay hard, buddy. We're gonna get out there. We're gonna run. We're gonna do it together. And you wanted to, for me, if you wanted to work with me and you come to me, I want to help you find that. And that's why I believe that you're guided to the people that you're guided to. You're ready to open up and turn a new leaf, open up the door to your abundance. And so we're coming at our end of the show. And this is amazing. I love this. I'm sorry, guys. I do want to apologize. I'm not sure why we can't stream on the Oneness Facebook, but we're on my Facebook and I'm sharing that. But we are on the YouTube and the Oneness YouTube. And Jackie's here. So, Jackie, are you sharing any of your channels on here?
I am. It's on my Jackie Simmons page. So
Oh,
it's
okay,
going
awesome.
straight to my professional page on Facebook, and I'll be able to share it from there.
Oh, love it.
So that's where I popped in. I'm kind of new to this whole stream thing, so I didn't realize I could probably have also hooked in my YouTube channel. But next time
Next time,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll grab it from yours.
yeah, the restream has changed and it's made life a little bit easier to get onto all these sites to do chat in one place. And I like that because we can talk to you in the chat and we can talk to you one on one here. And always, even if you're on a replay, type something in the chat and we'll reply. For me, I like to reply to you and say, hey, thanks for watching. Be out there. If you have a question, put it out there. Folks, you can find me. My email's in the chat. It's Nicole@NicoleBorgie.com. If you have a question that you want answered on the show and you can't be here live, or you just not ready to put it out there live, I can always share that live with the audience for you, and be that medium and that conduit for you to share that open question, because somebody else may have that exact same question at the same time, because we're all one together, right? You can find me. You can book with me. All my information's in the chat. I love to do that live reading. There's also a gift, a ritual guide. It should be in here. If it's not, I'll pop it in the chat a little bit later. And that's a little ritual guide on a little bit of daily journaling for you. And how do people get a hold of you, Jackie?
Easiest is Jackie@JackieSimmons.com. Just
Ooh,
JACKIE at JACKIESIMMONS.com. There are
oh,
two
very
other,
cool.
yeah. Oh, thank you very much. And the reality is, I wear two hats. One, I work with intuitive coaches and healers. We've talked about that. My gift is to wrap a business around your gifts. That's what I do for my tribe. My other hat is with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, because I also raised a suicidal daughter. I got lucky. My daughter's still alive. And what I came to understand is that suicide prevention that's out there isn't prevention. It only kicks in when they're already at risk. And so we created a pure prevention approach. And anyone who wants to be part of that mission to make teen suicide a thing of the past, actually end it, we'd more than happy to have you come in. We've got trainings, we've got a group meeting, a resource sharing gathering for people who want to be proactive, who want to get ahead of this wave. Because we've gone from having a wave to having an epidemic. We've got a full-fledged tsunami on our hands. And as a culture, if we don't start looking and addressing this and getting ahead of it, 10 years from now, we're not going to have customers. We're not going to have employees, because right now, 1 out of every 4 young adult in America is struggling with suicidal thinking. And that statistic was from the summer of 2020, right as COVID began. 2 years
Horrible.
later, it's not better.
It's
So
gone
that's
worse.
my other mission in the world.
Yes, and I've got some information for Jackie. Jackie can send that, and I'll share this with everybody, with our audience, because it's such a blessing to be able to talk about getting out of your mind and opening up, especially for star seeds. Right now, the energy is changing. The veil is thin, but we're coming without the owner's manual, like Yvonne said. We didn't get our owner's manual, and that's why we have folks like Jackie here, because she's got a manual, right? And
Mhm.
she's got that owner's operator kit and how to repair and build your vehicle, right?
And I know how to build them as you fly them, so you don't have to have it figured out.
Yeah, just come in. So we thank you so much, folks, for being here today. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'll see you again 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. That's 10 Pacific Time. And thank you so much. Enjoy your sun, Jackie. Get a little for me.